Thank you for listening to Life Improvement Radio. You are listening to a rebroadcast of a previously recorded show.
We're live at the Miami Book Fair, powered by Life Improvement Radio on the Neil Haley Show, and I'm excited to welcome to the program first my co-host, Eric Remmel. Eric, thanks for calling. The countdown is coming. You know, we always say this, when it starts at 12, where did the day go? And the lights go, and we're in that same situation as we continue to interview amazing people, right?
Yeah, down to the last hour. I think we got 3 or 4 interviews left, so counting down. It's always a lot of fun.
And I'm absolutely. I'm excited to welcome to the program Peter Tomasi. Peter is a writer and editor and very, very interesting, involving the comic world. Peter, thanks for calling. How are you?
Oh, my pleasure, and thanks for having me on.
Well, let's kind of just jump really quickly, Peter, into specifically enough. Is this your first time attending the Miami Book Fair? Have you been met as an attendee, or have you been here many times?
This is the first time, actually. I usually have, for the large chunk of years, been going to a lot of comic book conventions and some sporadic book fairs, but this is my first time at the Miami Book Fair.
What made you go, especially if you're always at the comic book scene? What has spurred you this reasoning for attending this one?
Really just purely to get the word out on my newest graphic novel, The Bridge. Just to, you want to keep ringing the bell as much as you can, and, there's so much product out there that you want people to constantly be reminded that you're on the shelves or that you're available digitally, and you just need to be constantly out there and just, hitting the horn and making sure people know you're there.
That's very, very important, for sure. Right, Eric?
Especially for a passion project, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You guys, looks like you've done a lot of work over the years. We were just talking about on the break. And tell us about your new book, The Bridge. Is that a graphic novel as well, or is it something new? Tell us a little about the book.
Yeah, the Bridge is the building of the Brooklyn Bridge by the amazing Roebling family that many Americans and probably just people around the world have not heard of. Great family that has done a lot of great things, but leaving this bridge behind is probably the most iconic. And just a passion project that I'm a big history nut, and when you're someone like me who writes superheroes for a living, it's nice to kind of clean your palate with something you really want to get your teeth into that is about real folks and real problems and real situations that they just, put their nose to the grindstone and climb above incredible gauntlets and problems.
What made you want to write?
Well, I mean, it's an iconic.
Peter. Yeah, go there.
What was that?
No, go ahead.
I lost.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I lost. I heard somebody say, "What made me write it?"
Yes.
Well, actually, a big love of bridges. I grew up in Washington Heights in Upper Manhattan, and I was right, literally like 6 blocks away from the George Washington Bridge. Looked out every night from my bedroom window, and did a lot of walking across it, researching it, and suddenly just got involved with all the New York bridges. And then when I found the Brooklyn Bridge history and the Roebling family, it just stayed with me for many years since when I was in high school, and just kept taking notes and reading about it as much as I could. But there wasn't a lot actually on there. I mean, the best thing available was, like, I think McCullough's The Great Bridge from '72, and then of course you've got the Ken Burns amazing documentary, The Brooklyn Bridge, his first one out of the gate for him, which was 1980. So that was it. 2 things about an amazing family, an amazing construction process that just never has really had the gotten any spotlight. So it just kind of gravitated towards me, and it just the family history and the tragedy and just the pure grit that these people went through to make something realize, carve something out of nothing, just put something in the air that never existed before, and something as large as that, which is really, it was like a moonshot. It was a moonshot in 1869, starting that bridge. It was amount of work and manpower and brain power to get that together.
Yeah.
It's an amazing story.
Yeah, it's an iconic landmark. I mean, everybody that's from New York, lives there, has visited New York, has probably been over the bridge or at least seen it, and it's just an iconic landmark that's there. And a lot of people like myself, have been to New York multiple times, have family from New York. I don't know the history or the background of the bridge. I'd be really interested to read the book and learn about it. It'd be an interesting story to tell. What New Yorkers, they're always, love you or hate you. There's no in between. What's what's the reviews or the follow-up or the feedback for the book been? Do New York like it? They get behind the book?
Yeah,
some love?
the buzz has been great. A lot of interviews, a lot of signings, just a lot of people who, they did exactly like you just said. They're like, wow. I mean, this was just like a matter of fact to them, and to know the kind of intensity that went behind building that bridge has been an eye-opener to a lot of people, which is great, which is what you want to do. You want people to look at something new, especially something that's been around so long that we've taken for granted, which is really a lot of infrastructure that, no matter what state there's, or country, there's amazing amount of stories. I mean, human interest stories. These things just didn't appear out of nowhere. I mean, these things were thought up and built by amazing minds, built by immigrants with, being paid incredibly low wages, but still just wanting to make a buck and put food on their family's table, and amazing stories that just, cross all races, creeds, and colors.
Very interesting. And do you think after writing about this bridge, are you going to do more bridge books to start? Or
I've actually talked to my publisher, Abrams, and I really would love to carve a little area for myself that would sort of talk about infrastructures here in the States and also around the world with a human interest angle on it, obviously being at the forefront, and following something from the beginning to completion, and showing that journey, and letting people kind of get in, from behind the curtain, so to speak, and see how that stuff is made, and all the hard work that gets into it.
So now that you've written the book about, the Brooklyn Bridge, are you going to put that in some of your graphic novels? You think you'll kind of cross over?
I do pepper myself. There's a recent issue of Superman where I had Clark Kent walking across the bridge and talking about it to his son, and a World War II vet. So there's I try to sprinkle, even aside from Brooklyn Bridge stuff, I try to sprinkle a little history throughout my comic work, because I remember enjoying little bits of that when I was a kid, when a writer or two would do that. So it kind of just makes people, especially now with all the information at our hands, it allows people to go out and explore if something grabs their attention in a comic book page, or even the graphic novel on the bridge. It's there's so much information now that you can start to pull out and even get more of, and it's very lucky. I mean, it is a 200-page graphic novel. It's drawn by a wonderful artist, Sarah Duvall, and she just brought a lot of humanity to it, and I wanted to make sure that this was really, the Roeblings were the starring characters. The bridge is something they're bringing to light, but you had to show the people front and foremost, and see it through their eyes and their travails, and then you get connected more to it, because I didn't want it to be a dry textbook of any kind. I wanted it to be something that is really, like I said earlier, like a moonshot. It's an adventure story. It's a love story wrapped in an adventure story, because Washington Roebling and his wife Emily Roebling are the two leads, so to speak. And Washington is incapacitated at some point during the course of the building, and his wife steps in. And back in the Victorian age, a woman stepping down into the docks of down at the East River, and then rolling out plans and talking about what her husband wants, and also by osmosis soaking up a lot of the engineering, because she became an engineer almost herself. Wow. Another angle of the story, which is amazing. It's just amazing human interest story.
Really, that is really interesting.
Yeah. So, Peter, let's go ahead. Next bridge book, it's got to be Pittsburgh. We have the bridge. We have all the bridges.
That's true. No, Roebling's Bridge. That was Roebling's next step. That was the Cincinnati Covington Bridge. That was he was working towards the bridge. That was the father, John Roebling, and he died obviously. John Roebling. The whole tragedy behind it was the father, John Roebling, who had designed the bridge originally, was months away from just starting putting markings down and finding out where the foundations were going to go, and the caissons and all that stuff, and he ended up dying right before anything happened, before one stone was cut, before one wire was spun. He was contracted tetanus by being in the docks, because one day a ferry was coming into the slip while they were making measurements, and he wasn't watching, and the foot crushed the pilings of the pier and crushed it against his foot, and he ended up dying of tetanus a few days later. And that's when his son, who was like 32, Washington Roebling, who had built bridges during the Civil War and lived through an amazing amount of battle and carnage of the Civil War, another aspect of the story which is amazing. He was almost at every major battle when you look through his history, and not just in the back 10. A lot of frontline bridge building under fire and stuff, and amazing. And then he took over the bridge at that young age and saw it through to completion with the wife, with the help of his wife, Emma.
Wow. And so in the human history of this, Peter, you're really delving into not just the bridge itself, but also the history, the people that built it, the people in that time period, all that's involved in this book, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I did a lot of research. The best thing about this kind of thing is I do love research, and I was reading all the papers of the time. You can get the lingo and the way people spoke at that point. But there's even some stuff where I go into. I mean, this is after the Civil War, so there were some tensions. There were some Southerners who had come up to make a living, make some money, and of course, there were some problems there. I mean, because Roebling obviously ended up going out as a colonel of the Northern Army. So, but there were some tension there. They've got North and South soldiers who are now working on this bridge, and there's just so much amazing real dramatic history involved in it that it's a wonderful story that I just hope the bridge gets into more people's hands as time goes by, and hopefully schools too.
Well, that's great, and that's a great point you brought about schools, especially all types of schools, especially being a graphic novel. You can get kids to pick up history that might not be interested in history, right, Peter?
Oh, yeah, so it's been a big key. I've gone to a lot of schools now, and the students love it. I mean, to be able, they didn't know anything about it, of course, the bridge, and then suddenly they're being told all this information being delivered this information in a way that's not, boring them, or because of their visualization now with obviously video games and their smartphones and everything else, that delivery system of pictures and words together is something that they seem to gravitate towards, and it's really heartening to watch people get into it, and young kids get into it, and young adults. It's been very rewarding.
All right, Peter, best place we can find information on you so we can purchase your book and learn more about you. Where can we go?
I guess the best place is one, hit your local bookstores if there are any, and then Barnes and Noble and Amazon and all those places should have the bridge. It's called The Bridge: How the Roeblings Connected Brooklyn to Manhattan. It's published by Abrams, and 200 pages, drawn by the amazing Sarah Duvall, and written by me, and that's about it.
Well, you're fabulous. I tell you, you probably have the job that so many people that love comics or that love to have, but you see that there's more to you than that you have that passion and that history, and by doing this is something I think you're the most proud about is your book. Wouldn't you agree? Out of your whole career.
Absolutely. This was boiling for over 15 years. I was waiting to do this, so I'm very, very happy that I've finally been able to get it out and into people's hands. So, you're absolutely right.
And what's new at DC Comics, real quick, for the fans of you and your DC Comics? What's up? What's up now?
Yeah, it's a good. Thanks. I'm starting a run on Batman Detective Comics with another great artist, Doug Mankey, and we're going to be leading right to that. Starts in issue 994, which is in December. That starts to come out, which will lead us to the landmark issue of Batman Detective Comics number 1000. And there's only 2 comics that have hit that point. That was Action Comics, the Superman book that just came out last year that I was unbelievably honored to be a part of also. And now I'll be part of the Batman history and doing Batman Detective 1000. So that'll come out in April, I believe. And so I'll be on the book starting in December, and looking forward to readers finding me in the superhero universe and standing atop the Brooklyn Bridge.
Oh, you're great. Awesome. And Eric, I know you, any other questions you have for Peter?
No, that was it. Just want to say congratulations on your success, and I look forward to checking out the book.
Oh, thank you. I hope you enjoy it.
All right, Peter, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You're listening to the Neil Haley Show. We'll be back in just a moment.
Thank you for listening to Life Improvement Radio. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own and shall not be construed in any way as advice from Life Improvement Radio. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our website. Personal perspectives expressed by the producers, writers, or editors will always be presented as such. Any rebroadcast or retransmission without the expressed written consent of Life Improvement Radio is strictly prohibited. Thanks for listening.